Good afternoon. I'm Bob Mueller with the Sons of Union Veterans of the Civil War, Camp 326 here in St. Genevieve.
And I'm Gary Shell with the Sons of Union Veterans of the Civil War Camp here in St. Genevieve. We named our camp after Lieutenant Colonel Joseph Felix St. James, who was a native of St. Genevieve, and he was killed at the Battle of Shiloh. What we did last weekend on the 29th, we had a living history. And what we try to do there into living history, we try to show how the soldiers would have lived and let people come in and see the different types of equipment and way things were done. One of our soldiers went in and showed how to wear his uniform, how to put it on, the type of equipment that he would wear, and what he would use it, and information like that. And then the next one was another soldier representative would just come in and he would show the different types of things that are not things so much, but equipment that he would have in his backpack, like bread, crackers, just different types of material that he would carry around as an individual soldier. And then the third part was another soldier was showing how the tent layout was done, the rubber blanket, the ponchos, and described the tents and how they were used.
Well, after that, we did a little reenactment of things that actually went on here in St. Genevieve County. There were no battles actually fought here in the county, but there was a number of things that happened, and the camp put on a reenactment of those things from various time periods during the Civil War. The first was the formation of the 78th Enrolled Missouri Militia, of which many St. Genevieve men had to serve in that unit. We also reenacted the establishment of the Provost Marshal here in St. Genevieve, Augustus St. Jem. We read the orders for the establishment, or special orders 13 and 14, which actually happened also, and that was where the saloons couldn't sell liquor to the soldiers, and the soldiers had to stay in camp, and we actually had to drag one of our soldiers out of a saloon and reprimand them. We also reenacted the shutting down of the Plain Dealer newspaper, which actually happened here in St. Genevieve. They said that paper was too Southern sympathizing and shut it down for the duration of the war. And I think the last thing we reenacted was there was a rebel sympathizer that was accused of flying the flag. His name was Mr. Palmer, and we arrested him, and I think I heard a shot even fired at the end of that. Yeah. So what you're going to see in this reenactment are actual events that happened here in St. Genevieve County during the Civil War 150 years ago. Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoy it.
My name is Jerry Caston. I'm a member of the Sons of Union Veterans of the Civil War. Also a member of the Veterans Reserve, which is the military arm of the Sons of Union Veterans of the Civil War. With me today is the Sergeant of the Veterans Reserve, Tom Farley, and we'd like to explain to you our uniform and our accoutrements. And we will start with the hat. The hat is called a Forage Cap, or a kepi. I have on a vest which was not issued by the government, but it was something that the men could purchase to wear. And it had to be buttoned, at least in the top button, preferably all the way down. I'll take the vest off and show you my undergarments. In the Civil War, this shirt was known as an undergarment. No one would expose himself to young women dressed like this. They would put on a blouse or a fatigue coat, which Tom Farlow has on. And the top button had to be buttoned, and preferably all the way down. Also, we have on what is known as brogues, or brogans, which are shoes wore by the veterans in the Civil War. They had leather soles, they had wooden heels, and they had a metal horseshoe on the heel in the hopes of them lasting longer than 2 or 3 months, which was the life of a pair of shoes to a soldier in the Civil War. Next, we will explain to you some of the accoutrements which Mr. Farlow has on. I should say Sergeant Farlow because of his stripes. He has on the right side a cartridge box. The cartridge box holds exactly what it says, cartridges. These are our bullets that we load into the rifle. To load those, you had to tear off the end and pour the powder and shell down the barrel. Next, we have our belt with a bayonet and a cap box. And this was put on thusly. In the cap box, we had percussion caps that would go on the rifle on the nipple. When the hammer hit the nipple, it would send fire down to the powder and the shot would leave the rifle. Then the men would carry their haversack, which contained their individual and personal items such as a billfold. They could even carry their housewife, and this is a housewife. It's a sewing kit, so they could patch their uniform, and they called it a housewife. They also had a wallet. Also inside, they would have their wooden comb. That's all they had was a wooden comb to comb their hair with, or a wooden toothbrush. They didn't have plastic then. Everything was wood. Also, they would carry food inside. If I can. And the main staple for the soldier during the Civil War was what they called hardtack. It was a real hard cracker that was manufactured and shipped to them from various places around the northern part of the United States. Namely, one was St. Louis, Missouri. And this is so hard you break a tooth trying to eat it. But you could soak it in coffee, which was what they really liked to drink, coffee, or they would mix a stew and put this in the stew. Then he would be carrying, a canteen full of water. And you have your, yeah, very good. And then we get to the rifle. This is an 1861 Springfield muzzle-loading rifle. It's not a smooth bore, it's rifle. And the rifling made it very accurate. It would be accurate up to 300 yards, whereas the muzzleloader was only accurate up to about 100 yards. The bullet that they used was called a mini ball. Oh, there it is. And it looked like this. It was conical shape. It was conical shaped, and the back was dished out so that when the powder went off, this would expand to contact the rifling in the barrel, thus making it spin like a modern day bullet spins and making it very accurate. Also, we were carrying a bayonet. The bayonet was for close quarter drill. And if you can see, it is triangular in shape. It's not meant for cutting, it's meant for puncturing. You puncture, tear a wound in a three-cornered square triangle, thus hard to stop from bleeding. So anyone who was stuck with this, if he didn't die immediately, he would die from the loss of blood. To load these rifles, we would give the order load, and we would then grab a cartridge from our cartridge box. It looked like this. It had the mini ball on top, powder in the bottom. Now these particular ones only have powder in the bottom because they're for show. They would then put the end in their mouth, tear it off, dump the powder down into the barrel with the mini ball. As it went in to the barrel, draw a rammer, draw the rammer, ram the charge, return rammer, install cap, and then we would go to the cap box, pull out a cap, a percussion cap, put it on the nipple, go back to shoulder arms, and then the command would be given, ready, aim, fire, and you would fire. The manual of arms consists of a few simple moves. The first being order arms, which was the attention. When that command came, order arms, you would be at attention with your rifle at your right-hand side. Then the next order would be shoulder arms. Shoulder arms, hand under the trigger guard, and you would be at shoulder arms. This is a position that they marched in most often. And again, we do order arms, and then we would go to right shoulder shift. And this is what you see Hollywood marching in all the time. They didn't do this a lot because it was dangerous. If somebody did this, the guy behind you gets stuck with a bayonet or hit in the eye with a gun, rifle.
And he tells me he's quiet.
But you see this in Hollywood. Then we'd go back to order arms, and then we would go to support arms. And there are pictures of the Civil War where soldiers were doing guard duty like this. They would do support arms for guard duty. We go back to order arms, and then we go to present arms. This was done when the flag was brought before you. And then we go back to order arms, and then there was a trail arms. If you had to double time, you would do this, and you would do trail arms. You had to be careful. If you got too far down, sometimes the ramrod would fall out. Now where do we go from here?
The march, keeping step.
Okay. Men would line up, recruits would line up, single file, and line up by height. You would have the tallest man first on down to the smallest. And then they would count off by twos. 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2. Then they would ask the ones to step forward. Ones would step forward. And then they would say, second, that would be first rank. They would say, second rank, left face. Second rank, one step forward, right face. So he was behind me. Now we had a column of 2. In a column of 2, they would say left face or right face. We'll do left face. And then it would be harder arm, forward, march. And you would start with the left foot. Forward, march. Left, right, forward. About face, forward, march, left, right, halt. Left face, whoop, there's a hole. And then from the column of 2, they would go to a column of 4. And that, I don't have 2 other men, but we'll show you what the column of 4. Left face. Now, there would be 2 guys behind me. They would scoot in, one, the first one here would scoot in between here, and then the second one would come on this side. You would then have a column of 4, and that was the parade march. Right face. And that's about it.
Hi, my name is Tom Grimminger. I'm the camp commander of the St. James Camp here in St. Genevieve. And we're going to continue on with a little bit of the equipment stuff here today. I think they've already covered the actual rifle, the Springfield rifle, when they were doing some of the commands. Mike just mentioned that between the Springfield and these other 4 rifles back here on the board, about 95% of all the rifles that were used during the Civil War was one of these 5 rifles. And starting at the top up there is the Sharp's Carbine, followed by an import rifle, which was an Enfield rifle. That was a British-made rifle, kind of the preferred weapon of the Confederacy. The third one down is the Henry rifle, which kind of revolutionized modern warfare. That was the first rifle that was a repeating rifle that actually used a metal cartridge as compared to the paper muzzle loading gun. That was the first one. And then the very bottom one was the Colt revolving rifle, which was also a muzzle loader that you actually had to load, but it was a repeat. It was like a pistol. So much for the guns. This is just a display of what some of the ammo look like, and I think Jerry and the guys probably covered some of this as far as what the paper cartridge looked like on the different ammunition. And of course, a lot of these ammunition for the Civil War was actually made at the St. Louis Arsenal in St. Louis. And of course, they packaged. There was actually, in a pack like this, there was actually 10 of these paper cartridges like this that included the mini bullet and the powder charge. And then also in each one of these packs was a pack of 10, well actually 12 of the firing caps that was packed in each pack. And of course that was put in the ammo cartridge belt. And you can see the different calibers of guns. The Springfield, of course, was a 58 caliber and shot a mini ball. The Enfield was also a 58 caliber. The Henry was a 44 caliber, and the Colt was actually, that one was a 56. They actually had a 52 caliber Colt revolving rifle also. But it gives you some idea of the size of the bullet itself, and of course you hear so much of amputations during the Civil War, and the mini bullet was probably the big culprit there, is because when that thing would hit you, it would just completely shatter bone and muscle, and there wasn't anything to put back together. So that's when you got shot in the arm or leg with a mini bullet, it would take it off. So pretty deadly. The Springfield, which was there was over 800,000 of those produced for the Union forces, and it was the rifle of choice. It had the best range and the best firepower of any weapon during the Civil War until they start coming out with the Henrys and the repeating guns. Just going down the line here on the display, of course your Union, when they were in the field, they actually had a backpack that they would wear, and in that backpack, this is typically a list of the items that was in the backpack, and these were the personal items that would be packed in the backpack during the Civil War of a Union soldier. And the big items that's actually in there is the poncho to protect them against the rain, and they'd actually use it as a ground cloth and so forth. And then each Union soldier would carry one half of a pup tent, and they would pair up with another Union soldier that would come up with the other half, and they button together, and they would actually form a pup tent, which those two soldiers would sleep in. But each soldier would carry half of a tent in their pup tent. And of course the old standard long underwear, extra pair of socks, handkerchief. This, what most people look at and they say, well, that's a sewing kit, and they were referred to as a housewife. And the sewing kit, extra rounds, usually in the field they would be issued where a Union soldier would carry anywhere from 40 to 60 rounds, or in other words 6 of these packs would be packed either in their cartridge holder or a few extra packs in there, because it was a matter of, hey, whenever they could get ammo, they'd stock up on it, because you didn't always have somebody running around on the battlefield resupplying you with ammo. Of course, eating utensils, shaving utensils, matches, which they referred to as lucifers, is what the term that you see on a lot of the old matches. A kit, which most of them carried for riding home, with some of the old stamps, and of course the comb, and this particular comb is made out of wood. Toothbrush, tooth powder, playing cards or checkers. They'd all carry candles and soap, and of course the Bible. Everybody carried a Bible and an extra cord. But and of course your pipe and tobacco would be carried in there, as well as tools and stuff to actually clean your weapon with. So that's basically what went in the backpack, along with the blanket, the big wool blanket. And if they were issued overcoats, they would usually also strap that overcoat onto they would fold it and wrap it, and it would also hang on the backpack if they were issued an overcoat. Moving down the line, the Union soldier in the field would also be issued, of course, the standard issue canteen with the old cart and so forth that would go in it. And then they would also carry what they referred to as a haversack. And a haversack was usually also put on along with the cartridge belt and the backpack and so forth, and the canteen. But in the haversack is usually where they carried their spare food and the items to eat with. And typically they would be issued, and I'll just read this to you as far as what was considered Civil War rations. According to Army regulations for camp rations, a Union soldier was entitled to receive a daily 12 ounces of pork or bacon, or 1¼ pound of fresh or salted beef. So that was their meat ration that they were issued. They were issued 1 pound, 6 ounces of soft bread or flour, in the form of flour, or a pound of hard bread. Now, when they talk about hard bread, they're talking about this. And this is the traditional hardtack, which was kind of similar to today's soda crackers. It's much bigger, much thicker, and about 10 times as hard. These things would break your teeth off. And you got to remember that these things were manufactured months, maybe even years ahead of when they were consumed. And of course, they would fill them with bugs and so forth by the time they get actually devoured in the field. Along with that, they would also be issued for every 100 rations, or for every company of troops. They would also be issued to that company a peck of beans or peas, 10 pounds of rice or hominy, 10 pounds of green coffee, or 8 pounds of roasted and ground coffee, a pound of tea, which I felt, I never heard too many troops that drank tea, but they were issued it. 15 pounds of sugar, a pound, 4 ounces of candles. Remember, there was no lights or kerosene lamps. Everything was candles. 4 pounds of soap, and a quart of molasses is what would be issued to the company and dispersed. And of course, your company would be right at 100 soldiers. And of course, you take 15 pounds of sugar and divide it 100 ways, and that don't give them too much sugar. But anyway, that's what they would carry in their haversack. And of course, they'd have their hunk of bacon, which they'd use for just about everything from eating it to flavoring their hardtack crackers to actually greasing their gun with it, keep their gun from rusting. So that kind of gives you a little bit of idea of, the day-to-day what soldiers traveled with in the field.
I'm Gary Shell. I'm with the Sons of Union Veterans of Civil War Camp here in town. Also part of the 78th Enrolled Missouri Militia Sons of Veterans Reserve. I'm a private, and this here is basically a camp setup. We have an A-frame tent here. This is called the A-frame tent. It's made out of canvas. Center on this center is about 6 foot tall. Technically, an A-frame tent could be used by 3 individuals, but most of the time they were used by 2. You see the basic display on the inside of the tent. Underneath here is a gum blanket made out of Goodyear rubberizing process that they did. It was a canvas coated with this rubberized product by Goodyear. You see he has his eating utensils in there. There's a plate with a spoon and a little bowl. The big pot there, or pan, was used to cook your coffee in, and sometimes your beans and stuff. The hatchet would be used to help, cut up firewood in order to build a fire. Then you have in the back is his knapsack. In the knapsack, you could tell he's probably using it for a pillow. The men would stack their rifles outside the tent, and then the blanket was your basic Army issue blanket. Towards the middle of the war, the soldiers started carrying light stuff. They would be traveling light. So this is basically all the stuff that a private would carry, because he doesn't want to carry too much weight. Because sometimes they would march up to 20 to 25 miles a day. The tent is basically a freestanding tent. You have your tent pegs on the sides, and then the pole, the center pole, and that's what helps supports the weight of the tent. It's a very sturdy tent, and it was very good in weather. Later on, towards the end of the war, a lot of times they just stopped using tents altogether because they were just too heavy to carry. y'all for showing up. Y'all have cue cards, well, and we have cue cards for you. And for those of you who have volunteered to be our rebel sympathizers and union sympathizers, the cue cards will cue you whenever you're supposed to yell. Thank you for coming today. What we're celebrating today is the 150th anniversary of the founding of the 78th Enrolled Missouri Militia. The Enrolled Missouri Militia was formed in 1862, and the main reason for it was because there were so many troops in Missouri from places like Wisconsin and Illinois and Iowa and just doing basically chasing bushwhackers, and they were needed somewhere else, places like Shiloh. And so in order to relieve these troops from their service in states like Missouri, basically just chasing bank robbers and stuff like that, Missouri decided to form what was called the Enrolled Missouri Militia. And we're celebrating that. 78th Enrolled Missouri Militia was pretty much from San Genevieve County. We did have some people from Perry County in the 78th Enrolled Missouri Militia. Each county pretty much had its own Enrolled Missouri Militia. Perry County had the 64th Enrolled Missouri Militia. The Enrolled Missouri Militia was a group of men who pretty much didn't go anywhere. Their main status was to chase after bushwhackers or whoever was picked out. There was a general order, and that's my job, is to read you the general order. I'm representing a lieutenant colonel in who would make it official. So this is called Headquarters Missouri State Militia, Adjutant General's Office, St. Louis, July 22nd, 1862. General Orders number 19. An immediate organization of all the militia of Missouri is hereby ordered for the purpose of exterminating the guerrillas that infest the state. Every able-bodied man capable of bearing arms and subject to military duty is hereby ordered to repair without delay to the nearest military post and report for duty to the commanding officer. Every man will bring with him whatever arms he may have or can procure, and a good horse if he has one. All arms and ammunition of whatever kinds, and wherever found not in the hands of loyal militia, will be taken possession of the latter and used for the public defense. Those who have no arms and cannot procure them in the above manner will be supplied as quickly as possible by the Ordnance Department. The militiamen who shall assemble at any post will be immediately enrolled and organized into companies, elect their officers, and be sworn into service in accordance with the militia laws of the state, under the immediate superintendence of the commanding officer of the post. The militia, thus organized, will be governed by the Articles of War and Army Regulations, and will be subject to duty under the orders of the commanding officer of the post where they enroll. Are such other officers of the United States troops or Missouri militia regularly mustered into service as may be assigned to their command. Commanding officers will report from day to day by telegraph when practical the progress of enrollment at their post and the number of arms required. 6 days after the date of this order are allowed for every man fit for military duty to report to the commanding officer of the nearest military post to be enrolled. All persons so enrolled will be regarded as belonging to the active militia of the state until further orders. The commanding officer of a post or any higher commander is authorized to give furloughs to such men of this militia force as cannot be absent from their ordinary business without serious detriment, or such as are not needed for present services. Such leaves of absence will in no case be for a longer period than 10 days, and may be revoked at any time or renewed at their expiration at the discretion of the officer granting them. The same strict discipline and obedience to orders will be enforced among the militia in service under this order, as among other troops, and commanding officers will be held strictly responsible for all unauthorized acts of the men. The enrollment and the organization of the militia of St. Louis will be under the general direction of Colonel Lewis Merrill, commanding St. Louis Division, who will establish rendezvous, appoint enrolling officers, and make such regulations as he shall deem necessary. By order of Brigadier General Schofield, C.W. Marsh, Assistant Adjutant General. And this was an order that was given, order number 19, was given throughout the state that formed all the militias, enrolled Missouri militias in the state. We have in St. Genevieve County the 78th enrolled Missouri militia. We are an organization of the Sons of Union Veterans of the Civil War, and we have picked Company F of the 78th enrolled Missouri militia as our Sons of Veterans Reserve unit. Captain, are you ready to activate your 78th enrolled Missouri militia?
Yes, sir.
Carry on.
Fellow citizens of St. Genevieve, you know me as Augustus St. James. You also know my brother, J. Felix St. James, who was killed earlier this year at Shiloh. We need to keep his memory alive. We got to keep the Union together. And today I'm going to announce that I have received orders from St. Louis. Let me read those orders. Therefore, according to Special Order 61 of the Office of the Provost Marshal General District of Missouri, Iowa and Illinois on September 3, 1862, I, Gustavus St. Jem, have been appointed Provost Marshal of St. Genevieve County, and that my orders are to be obeyed and respected accordingly. And because of the number of secession-loving people that we have in our county here, and some of the rebel actions and guerrilla actions that they've been doing, I am hereby declaring martial law.
Sir, as editor of the Plain Dealer, O.D. Harris, we don't need a martial law here. As a matter of fact, I'm going to use my newspaper as editor to run you and your Yankee soldiers out.
Mr. Harris, you're out of line. You got a yellow, rebel-loving rag that you try to publish, and it's just not going to be accepted. I am the law here, and I'm declaring that your newspaper is shut down, and you're out of business. You cannot be editor anymore, and if you try to get back in the business and try to print stuff against our great union, I'll throw you in prison up in Gratiot Prison up in St. Louis.
Can't do that.
I
We
can
have
do it.
basic rights in this country.
No, and not now. We have martial law, I am the law, and you are out of here. Captain Miller, take this man away.
With pleasure, sir. Take Mr. Harris into custody. Sir, company, attention. Shoulder, arms. Forward, march. Company, halt. Left, face. Gentlemen, that dirty scoundrel in front of you, Mr. O.D. Harris, has been printing some undesirable articles. Take him into custody and present him to the Provost Marshal. Mr. Harris, you must surrender immediately. Get him, man. Get him. Surround him. Get him.
Draft that dirty rascal.
Good riddance. Old Abe has said these are the times to try men's souls, and if you want to behave like Mr. Harris did, we'll try your soul. It'll be a short trial, and you can end up in prison. We'll move on to the next scene.
We are humane.
Mr. Harris is a little recalcitrant.
Excuse me, sir. I'm looking for the provost marshal.
I be he, sir. What can I do for you?
Where's your badge?
That's right here.
Well, I've been ordered through a camping facility for housing for Company H, 3rd Missouri State Militia County. Captain Henry Mills will be arriving in about a day or two. They looking for housing, for appropriate housing for about, we have 80 men in the company, and and they're going to be patrolling in this area and helping you guard this town.
Sir, I heard of your coming, and we're prepared to bivouac your men up on the hill, about 150 yards from here. I think this ground belongs to me, so you'll be all right there.
150 yards.
Yes, sir.
Up the hill.
Up the hill.
And you own it. And we're free charge, right?
No.
No?
We
So
have
you're
something
going to
called
charge,
rent.
say again?
We got rent due.
So you're going to charge the United States military money to stay at your facility.
Well, I'm serving as provost for free. I guess you ought to pay a little bit.
We are going to pay a little bit, but not to you. We're going to go into the courthouse. We're going to stay in bivouac the men inside the courthouse. You may go to covert martial, but you are subject to military control. Therefore, we will come into town, take our quarters in the courthouse, but anything that's going on in San Genevieve in the courthouse is not important anyway, because we're under martial law. And we're going to bivouac our forces over here between these two buildings. Do you have any questions?
Did you bring any soldiers with guns with you? The courthouse is now hereby yours.
I appreciate your generosity, sir.
And for the duration of the war, the soldiers were bivouacked in our courthouse until the end of the war. After the end of the war, the County of St. Genevieve petitioned the U.S. government to have payment for the rent and the damage that the soldiers did to the courthouse during the war. And it took until about 1906 when the federal Congress appropriated about $3,000 to pay the county for the damages done. Government went a little slow back then. Captain Miller, what are you doing over there by that tavern?
Taking care of business, Provost Marshal.
Well, then take care of it. Anybody see any rubble thrown in there?
Did you say rubble?
Rubble? Rebel.
Oh, rebel, sorry. I thought you said rebel, I'm sorry.
Get that drunken out of here. Oh, Captain? How can you do this to me? I'm a loyal Union man. I just like to have a few drinks.
Captain Miller, what are you doing? Bring that man over here.
Pour him out. Put this man in the... He's done nothing wrong. Pour him out, company. What are you guys doing to me this for? Put this man. He's drunk. I'm not drunk. We're taking this to the Provost Marshal. He drinks too.
Maybe not as much.
Soldier, what do you got to say about yourself?
Provost Marshal, we found this drunkard, drinking in the middle of the day.
Sir, what do you have to say for yourself today?
I don't know, sir. I needed I needed a drink. I needed to calm my nerves. All the stress of these Southerners running around here. I can't.
It's inexcusable. Troop, take this man away, sober him up, and then throw him in the brick for a couple of days.
With
Please,
pleasure,
no,
sir.
No, return me to my company, please.
Get him out of here.
Company, attention. Counterfile by left. March.
With that kind of behavior going on in this town, I'm going to issue some special orders, and I'm going to read them right now. Special order number 13. There have been complaints made to the Office of Conduct disgraceful to a soldier of men belonging to the St. Genevieve County Militia. Therefore, it is hereby ordered that all members of said company will from this date remain in their camp unless furnished with a pass by officer appointed over them. Any members of said company found in town lounging around saloons or other public places without a pass will be arrested by a patrol guard and severely punished for the disobedience of orders. Special Order 13, number 2. There will be a roll call 3 times each day when it is ordered that all members will be present unless on duty or excused by the officer commanding. All absentees will be reported and punished accordingly. Special Order 13, item 3. In accordance with orders, the enlisted men of said company in my charges are hereby turned over to Captain Good, Company B Infantry Volunteer Commander Post, who will provide for said company and designate the hours for roll call and drill and such other duties as he may deem necessary until the officers appointed to command of said company are duly commissioned. Special Order 13, number 4. And listen up to this one, people, soldiers. No soldier will be allowed to purchase spirits or various liquors without first obtaining a permit from the commanding officer, and permits for such purchase will only be granted in the case of sickness. What's this booing? This is the way it's going to be. Special Order 14. The attention of keepers and vendors of spirits and various liquors is hereby called to remember Special Order number 1, previously issued by the Office of the Provost Marshal, St. Genevieve, Missouri, in reference to the sale, gift, or disposal of spirits and various liquors to soldiers and non-commissioned officers. All violations of said orders will be summarily dealt with in accordance with the provisions found in Order number 1. The order is going into effect now and will be posted around the town. No more liquor except for officers. Captain Miller? Already got the side.
Company, put your men at attention. Sergeant. Company, form up.
Attention. Shoulder arms.
What are you doing in this town, sir? You're a Confederate soldier. The town's under martial law. You're an enemy of this country. You're under arrest. Company, put this man. Take him.
Get him in.
Put him in custody.
Two on each side. He's a dangerous rebel. Two on each side. He's dangerous. Take him away.
Hooray for Jeff Davis!
Take him. Company. Take him to the Provost Marshal. Forward march.
Let that man go!
Captain Miller, what did you find this man doing?
He's a Confederate soldier, an enemy of this country. He's still in uniform.
Sir, you are under arrest and sent to Gratiot Prison. Why are you flying that flag here in this town?
I still have the right to fly this flag.
It's no longer as free as you thought for the likes of you. Rebels aren't allowed here. Captain Miller, take this man away also.
Company attention. Left wheel to the rear. March.
Let him go!
No!
march! Hooray for Jeff Davis! And the Confederacy!
All right. Put this man in chains.
Let him go!
Fellow citizens, you saw what happened with Mr. Palmer there. Just beware, it could also happen to you. You have to toe the line. We've been watching, I've been watching, and there's a number of you that are considered to be secession. I haven't got it proven yet, but we're going to be out looking for you. Must have been government issued color. Well, again, I've been watching some of you, and I want to read a list of some of you that are on my list. One's Anthony LeGras, Hiram Blackledge, Francis Rozier,
Don't take our men away!
Felix Rozier, Furman Rozier, Eli LeCompte.
Well, I knew that.
This one I'm almost sure of, Franklin Leavenworth.
Wait a minute. I'm the colonel of the 78th Royal Missouri Militia. How can I be a rebel sympathizer?
Oh, your son's down there fighting with those Confederate guys. I know you're passing stuff.
It's got nothing to do with me.
Well, you better keep it straight and narrow or I'll have something to do with you.
I got something to do with you too, mister.
Just toe the line. Felix Valley. C.C. Rozier. Them Rozier boys. I don't know about them. D.C. Little. John C. Watkins. And Charles Smith.
I knew that.
Did you say something, Neil?
No, sir. No, sir.
Was that you?
No, it was not me, sir. I knew
Well, I've
that
sent
man
these
was
names to
guilty.
the Provost Marshal.
I talked to his wife.
Did you want to say something?
Oh, no, sir. No, sir.
Well, I'm sending these names up to St. Louis to the Provost Marshal up there. And with my ability as Provost Marshal, I can arrest you and send you up there. And I will. Captain, get the names of all them boors. Thank you very much.
Well, we would like to give the customary Union cheer. And the customary Union cheer is huzzah.
That's right.
Captain, assemble your men.
All right, company, form. Attention, form company.
All right, Colonel, company is formed. All right, we'll start this. Those who wear caps, put the cap in your right hand, beg your pardon, your left hand. And you raise up and say huzzah. That's the Union cheer, huzzah. All right, we're going to do it 3 times. Ready? On the count of 3. 1, 2, what was that, sir? 3. Huzzah! 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 Now, can you imagine what that sounded like when you had a division of 5,000 men in one area in the South, in states like Georgia, Kentucky, Tennessee? That was strictly a Union cheer. Thank you all for your coming today. We appreciate it. Thank you for those of you who participated in our skit. We appreciate it.
We have a small Civil War camp set up over here, and you can talk to some of the soldiers, find out what they wore, what camp life was like. We will also sign you up. It looks like we have some new recruits coming down the street here. All men that were 15 and older to about age 55 had to join the militia or pay a tax. So if you have not joined up, and I see some people that haven't, please come over and we will sign you into the militia.
Oh, yes.
But thanks for coming to St. Genevieve and enjoying a little bit of our St. Genevieve Civil War history. Thank you. Oh, also we have a list over here. We've identified of over 800 men of St. Genevieve County that fought either for the Union forces or the Confederate forces. You can kind of check to see if some of your ancestors were on that list.